I don't ever want someone to tell me, did you see what the Allan Lichtman keys said? Ever again in any future election. All right, let's go through it. So let me start here. If you don't know who Allan Lichtman is, he's a political science professor at American University here in Washington. He's also an incredibly gifted, and I mean this nicely, an incredibly gifted self-promoter, because back in the early 80s, 1984, Lichtman came up with a system that he calls the 13 keys that he has said correctly predict elections. Now, the keys are things that are not poll dependent in any way, not campaign dependent in any way, not candidate really dependent in any way. And what Lichtman has said is, look, the way that modern political people make predictions about elections and prognosticate elections is totally wrong. That it's really just about these fundamentals of sort of the nation and the candidates. It has nothing to do really with the campaigns that are run, or even really the people that the parties pick. And Lichtman got a massive amount of attention, including from me and everyone else in the media, when in 2016, his keys predicted that Donald Trump would win, and Donald Trump did win. But the amount of attention that Lichtman got in this election, 2024, to me is way outsized to the accuracy of his predictions. Yes, I know he had predicted 9 out of the last 10 elections correctly. But only 4 of those elections were even moderately close. So, like, anyone could have predicted, like, oh, Barack Obama's going to win in 2008. You don't need the keys for that. So let me go through a few criticisms of Lichtman, including his latest explanation for how he got it wrong, which is 2024, which is so beyond ridiculous and laughable that it should disqualify him. All right, so first of all, let me go through my main criticism of the keys. Lichtman presents them as objective, that they, unlike kind of like an opinion by someone like me, they are based in sort of like either this is true or this is false, and depending on how many are true and how many keys are, as he called it, turned, you can tell who's going to win. All right, so some of these keys, let me just go through a few of them. Key number 1, party mandate. After the midterm elections, the incumbent party holds more seats in the House of Representatives than it did after the previous midterm. Fine, that's objective. You can agree or disagree. But here's where I start to, there's 13 of these. I'm not going to read them all. But this is where I start to question it. Key 7, for example. Key 7 is the incumbent administration affects major changes in national policy. Well, who defines major changes, right? I mean, one guy's major change is one guy's minor change, right? And why do people want that change or not? Okay, that's 1. 8, key 8, social unrest. He says there is no sustained social unrest during the term. Well, again, how do you define sustained social unrest? Are the protests on campuses over Israel and Palestine sustained unrest? Key 11, the incumbent administration achieves a major success in foreign or military affairs. Again, how do we define major success in either foreign or military affairs? What does major success mean? That's in the eye of the beholder. Just one more. Key 12, the incumbent party candidate is charismatic or a national hero. Again, charisma is a lot of times the eye of the beholder. Donald Trump, candidly, is very charismatic. Now, I know lots of people who hate him, but he's very charismatic. He's really, in his own way, kind of engaged. He's like an entertainer, right? But Lichtman would not feel that way. Okay, so that's criticism 1. Criticism 2. Lichtman is very into saying he had predicted prior to this election, because he predicted Harris. He had predicted 9 of the last 10 elections right. But Lichtman's, and by the way, he would say 10, he used to say before this election, 10 out of the 10 elections right, because his keys, he focused again and again, are about predicting the popular vote winner, not the electoral college winner. And he, as I said, got a lot of credit for 2016. But in 2016, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. So Lichtman's keys are supposed to predict the popular vote winner. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, and yet Lichtman got all this credit for predicting Donald Trump, but the keys are supposed to be about predicting the popular vote. And Lichtman tried to have it both ways, because he used to say, and regularly says, oh, well, I actually predicted 10 out of the 10 because I predicted Al Gore in 2000, and Gore won the popular vote, but George W. Bush won the electoral vote. So you can't have it both ways. Either it's about the popular vote, in which case Donald Trump did not win via election Lichtman's keys in 2016, or it's not about the popular vote, and therefore he gets credit for Al Gore. It is about the popular vote, and therefore he gets credit for Al Gore winning in 2000. You can't have it both ways. The third thing I mentioned earlier, but I'm going to say again, most of the recent elections have not been terribly close. 2000, 2004, definitely close. 2008, not close. 2012, not close. 2016, close. 2020, not hard to predict Joe Biden was going to win. Thank you, thumb. 2024, close. So again, and like, go back further. There haven't been that many super close elections. So I just think Lichtman claims credit for, it's like me saying like, hey, I think the Patriots are going to be good during the Belichick-Brady era. No kidding. Of course they are. They were good every single year. That doesn't make me a football prognosticator. Okay. And then the last thing, and this is the thing that really got me riled up, is how Lichtman has explained being wrong, clearly wrong, because Trump's going to win the popular vote and the electoral college. So there's no way to kind of wiggle out of this one. But how Lichtman has explained why he got it wrong. So right after the election, he did a 6-hour YouTube live stream. That's a long time, with his son, where they keep saying like, oh, it's gonna come through, it's gonna work out. There's no way she can't win Pennsylvania. Then she loses Pennsylvania. Then she loses the election. Okay. But in the wake of that, he said, I'm going to take a few days and analyze what went wrong with the keys. I mean, I can tell you what went wrong with the keys. It's subjective, just like lots of things. But anyway, he came back and he did an interview with my friend Laura Coates on CNN. And I just pulled a few quotes from that interview. So these are the things that Lichtman is saying. This is why the keys were wrong. Quote, the keys depend upon a rational, pragmatic electorate. Okay. He blamed it on disinformation and Elon Musk. He also blamed it on misogyny, racism, and xenophobia. Again, the keys are supposed to not have anything to do with that. That's the whole point of the keys, right? The entire justification of the keys is the campaign doesn't matter, right? This idea that, oh, well, the electorate wasn't rational and pragmatic, that's not the point. The point is they're objective in theory, though they're not. So again, like sometimes in life, and I've learned this myself, you got to just take the L. Allan Lichtman got a huge amount of publicity from 2016 to 2024. The New York Times did a massive and very nice looking video shoot of him picking Kamala Harris, with him running around a track and explaining how the keys were always right. Well, the keys weren't always right. And by the way, the keys weren't right in 2000 or 2016. Like, again, you don't get credit if it's the popular vote and the electoral college guy win. Like, anyway, the point is Allan Lichtman is a very good salesman and a very good marketer. And I don't have any issue with him for that. But he, like so many people, is just selling himself and his theory of the case, which is great. It's a theory of the case. There's nothing wrong with that. But you don't act as though the Nate Silvers of the world, the Chris Cillizas of the world are just wrong because they're not doing it the way you're doing it. Campaigns and candidates do matter. Polling cannot be entirely discounted. There is, at least in Lichtman's keys, no objective way to measure this election. They are subjective by their nature. And so for everyone who said, well, what about Allan Lichtman? Well, what about Allan Lichtman? When I said I'd put a fingernail on the scale for Donald Trump. And again, if Kamala Harris had won, as I said, I wouldn't have been surprised. This is what about Allan Lichtman. Disinformation, Elon Musk, the electorate wasn't rational and pragmatic, misogyny, racism, and xenophobia. I'm not saying any of those things didn't have to do with the election. I think they did play a role. I don't think they were the only thing. They did play a role. But again, Allan Lichtman's whole thing is to argue that those things don't matter, that the candidates in the campaign don't matter. It's all about these environmental factors that he has figured out. And he hasn't figured it out. And that's okay. But just don't say that you have. All right. That's my rant for today. As always, I ask you to do 4 things. I ask you to subscribe to this channel. It's easy. Just hit the the subscribe. Like this channel. I got ahead of myself. Just thumbs up it. Comment on this video because I know a lot of you got thoughts on Allan Lichtman. And last thing, please tell 10 friends about this channel. All right, everybody. Take care of yourselves.